Michael goes on to ask on the topic of meditation and generating our own personal VR, virtual reality. Tom states in the beginning of our exploration, because we lack any NPMR addresses to visit, non physical matter reality, the system will help us by generating a personal VR for us to experience to get us started. So, on this theme, can we generate our own personal VR without the system's assistance? Being in the void, for example, and any advice on doing so? I'm working on holding a strong, clear intent, but struggle with setting clear parameters for receiving information while also being completely open and unattached. Sometimes I feel like I'm shouting in the dark waiting for a reply when maybe I should be directing my intent to create an experience rather than waiting.
Hmm. Good point. Yes, indeed, you can create a virtual reality. Tom's Park is a virtual reality. And I created its structure, its format, and some of the things that are there. But every time you go, you actually create that virtual reality that you play in. You're creating that Tom's Park for you to be in. Yes, you and the larger conscious system working on it together. That's true. You don't create it wholly, but you start always by creating it. And then you and the system kind of add different amounts. Sometimes it's wholly the system, sometimes it's partly the system. So, yes, you can create virtual realities. Children are good at creating virtual realities. You just lose it when you become an adult because it's considered to be silly or stupid or something else. You get a lot of flack from your peers. So you keep it a secret or you let it go, and most people just let it go. But you can do that. You are a piece of consciousness. Consciousness has the capability of using its mind to create spaces, create reality frames. But if you create a virtual reality, you'll need a rule set that defines a virtual reality. If you don't have a rule set, then you just maybe use somebody else's. I want a reality, I want a rule set like Earth, so everything will work like Earth. Or I want one like dream reality, so you can just kind of copy things like that, but you can make your own rule set as to how things work there. It'll take time. You'll have to go. Your first couple of times, it'll probably be more imagination than it is virtual reality. But the more you go, the more time you put in, that'll change. And it'll eventually be almost no imagination and just another virtual reality. Bob Monroe had his own park. Bob Monroe's park, Bob's Park, I guess it was called. Well, that was just a virtual reality Bob created. Other people joined him there. Other people could go there too, just like they can go to Tom's Park. You see, so yes, you are consciousness. You can be creative. And the things that you create are actually there. They're in mind space. But mind space is the fundamental space. It's not the fake space. If you want to call something a fake space, it would be some created virtual reality. But the most fundamental space is mind space. That's consciousness. And you can create virtual realities there, so sure. Go do it. The more effort you put into it, the stronger it gets to live on its own.
Thanks, Tom. A bonus question here. Aside from his identifying errors in code and experiencing with past historical events in the big database, would Tom share other ways he learned he was generating his own VR and in what ways he would test the boundaries for his own exploration? Anything that excited him most early on?
Oh, probably hundreds of different ways, yes. Every way I could conceive of. I was just exploring. I was a young guy then in my 20s. I was exploring to see where I could go, what I could do, and how real was it? Was this real? Was it just in my imagination only? Was it coming from someplace else? Was it coming from me? I had none of those answers. So I was out trying and doing everything. And you can't just do something once, because you have to do it over and over and over again before you get a sense of where it's coming from, why it's there, what are you learning from it. And eventually, if you do this, every time Dennis and I went up to the lab, we spent 2 hours doing this, and that was like 3 or 4 times a week. So, so we're spending 6, 8, 10 hours every week doing exactly what you're talking about, and then having to assess it. What was its value? How could I tell that it was data coming from outside of me rather than inside of me? And so on. And it just has to repeat and see how it works. You have to heal and heal and heal and heal different people and see how it works, because you might heal somebody and say, wow, look, I made that person's headache go away, because as soon as I worked on them, the headache went away. It may have gone away on its own. That may just be circumstantial. You don't know. You have to do it a whole bunch of times. And you have to do things that aren't as simple as headaches. You have to fix somebody who's had a degenerative disease for 20 years. And then when you work on them, it's gone. You see, that's real evidential. Or somebody who's, within 5 minutes of dying, and they've all been read their last rites and so on, and you start to work on them, and 2 days later, they're out of hospital feeling fine. Things like that have a lot of evidence to them. But those things just don't happen on your first try. Those things happen on your 1,000th try, So you just do it, work on it, be very skeptical of everything. It's very important that you be skeptical of everything, but don't be stupidly skeptical. You have to be open-minded about everything too. So just because you don't know isn't a good reason to write something off. Find out more about it. Do more research. Try harder. Find other ways to approach the problem. But they have to be your own ways and your own problems. You can't duplicate my experience. You're not me. And a lot of my experience came to me just because I was there at that time. If I had been someplace else with somebody else at another time, I would have had totally different experiences. So my experiences really aren't all that important. You need to make your own, and you need to just keep working at it. Always being skeptical and always being open-minded. I and MBT Events hope you liked this video. We will continue to post videos for free on my YouTube channel, but please understand, these videos are expensive to produce. They represent many thousands of hours of production and editing, as well as all the necessary audiovisual equipment, computers, and software. If you find something of significant value in our videos, please consider supporting their production through our Patreon account or through a one-time donation. It would be very much appreciated. The links are in the description below. Thank you.